The first thing we could come up to our mind when we talk about political self is election, since it is known. Because as individuals living on this democratic country, it is our responsibility to vote for who will be our next president and related to political. So, political self is the side of a person concerned with laws or other political features. One can ask oneself which of one's right are at risk. This would reveal which political stance would serve one's own interest. So, political is something also, it is part of ourself, since there, in political self, we will learn what is our rights as a voter and what is the risk of it, and many political features. So we can ask ourselves if which one was our right and at our risk. So political self is very known in the Philippines because political is very known in the Philippines since we are living in a democratic country which is elected. We select our next ruler just like that, since it is, that's why political self exists in us. Not everyone has a political self because not everyone living in a democratic country, but Philippines are known for our rules since we are in a democratic country.
So hello, welcome. I'm Gerald Basilisco and I'm Group 4 and I'm representing to you is all about the Filipino identity, values, traits, community, and institutional factors. So, the Filipino culture is a mix of both Eastern and Western cultures. The beliefs and traditions of pre-colonial Philippines were mainly in indigenous Malay heritage. The Malay made a large contribution to Philippine history. The Malay temperament is a basic factor of a Filipino personality. It can best be described as being nice and pleasant to others. Additionally, the important role of family in the Filipino culture is stemmed from a strength of a Malay family clan that served as a strong security community or unit. So the next is values of Filipino identity. So according to the values of the Filipino identity is the home environment. Home environment is also known as the Filipino children are taught to value family and to give primary importance. So the second is social environment. So social environment is characterized by depending on one another to survive. This dependence on relationship and the struggle for survival make Filipinos group oriented. So the next is the 3, culture and language. So culture and language is depict openness to foreign element with basic consciousness for our cultural core. So that is the culture and languages. So the next is the history. So history is regarded as the culprit behind our colonial mentality. Unfortunately, most Filipino elites are of no help setting an example of overcoming colonial mentality because they are even more westernized in their way present. The media, on the other hand, reinforce this colonial influence. So the next is the educational system. So educational system is also an instrumental molding the strength and weakness of the Filipino characteristics. Schools are highly authoritarian. Early on, children learn that well-behaved and obedient students are praised and rewarded. This teaches passivity and comfortity. So the other term of educational system is the wider the following of the Hollywood movies of the shows, musics, and manifestation of our attachment to foreign languages or foreign elements. So the next of the values is number 6, religion. So religion is taught us to optimism and resilience. However, it is instilled in a fatalistic attitude since religious communities are also highly authoritarian. This further reinforces our being passive and nonconformist. So the next is number 7, the economic environment. So economic environment is the hard life drove Filipinos to work hard and take risks, such as leaving our families to work abroad. This further developed our ability to survive. So the next is the political environment. So the political environment is a system of fraud and problems. For instance, the fact that political power is mainly in the hands of the elite and the absence of the strong government presence enhances the Filipinos' already extreme family-centeredness. The economic and political environments are among elements and that have developed the culture of corruption in the Philippines. Meanwhile, the mass media reinforce our colonial mentality. What did you notice about the ads, music, movies, fashion, etc., or shown on the TV, aired over the radio, printed in the newspaper and or magazines, or gone viral online? These were greatly based on American pop culture, emphasized on superiority of an imported brand or product through mass media is in fact part of the Filipinos' daily life. So, Since the Filipinos is a highly respected authority, we learn on our number 10, leaders and role models. Any person with authority is looked up to, thus when our leaders violate the laws and when there is a lack of accountability. So, accountability for leaders who are break the law. The Filipino mindset is usually affected in a negative way.
Filipino identities and traits can vary depending on various factors such as geography, history, culture, and personal experiences. So here are some of the commonly recognized Filipino identities and traits. So the first one is bayanihan. This is a Filipino concept of community and cooperation. It means working together for a common goal. So helping each other but supporting another or supporting one another. So the second one is pakikisama. This refers to the Filipino value of getting along with others. Even in difficult situations, it involves showing respect, being courteous, and avoiding confrontation. And the third one is hiya. This is the Filipino concept of shame or embarrassment, which is deeply ingrained in the culture. Filipino tend to avoid doing things that may bring shame or embarrassment to themselves or their families. And the fourth is utang na loob. This refers to the Filipino sense of gratitude. Filipinos feel obligated to repay the kindness and favors that others have done for them. And the fifth one is balikbayan. This refers to Filipinos who have migrated to other countries but maintain a strong connection with their home country. They often return to the Philippines to visit their families and friends. And the sixth is resilience. Resilience. This is the ability of Filipinos to bounce back from adversity, hardship, or difficult situations. Filipino are known for their ability to stay optimistic and keep a positive outlook despite challenging circumstances. The seventh one is faith. Religion plays a significant role in the lives of Filipinos. The majority of the population is Catholic, and many Filipinos turn to their faith for guidance, comfort. And the eighth one is hospitality. Filipinos are known for their warm and welcoming nature. They are eager to make guests feel comfortable and will to go out their way to ensure their needs.
Traits of Filipino identities. First is optimism. Second is resourcefulness. Third is respect for elders. Fourth is strong family ties. Fifth is collective pride. Six is strong work ethic. Seven is industriousness. Eight is helpfulness. So, optimism. Optimism is a way of thinking and seeing things. Optimists see the positive side of things. They expect things to turn out well. They believe they have the skill and ability to make good things happen. So, the second one is resourcefulness. To be resourceful means to be able to create useful and unique solutions in challenging situations. The third one is respect for elders. If you give respect to someone, they think they are an important person in your life. Respecting is the one of important in ourselves, because whenever they speaking someone or discussing anything, don't interrupt. The fourth one is strong family ties. Families have warm and care good communications, predictability, and strong connections to others outside. The fifth one is collective pride. Collective pride is a complex and positive emotional experience evident in the behaviors that can lead to negative forms of collective hubris in which other groups are devalued or dominated. The sixth one is strong work ethic. Is an attitude of employee applies to their works or indicates a high level of passion for any work they do. A bad work ethic is attitude that can employee demonstrates that shows a lack of ambitions and professionalisms in the workplace. Industriousness, constantly, regularly, or habitually active or occupied, diligent and industrious worker, absolute, skillful or indigenous.
So good afternoon, everyone. So for now, I'm going to discuss all about the Filipino identity, values, traits, community, and institutional factors. First, Filipino are also tremendous in adjusting and adapting in any circumstances. We can improvise and make us use of whatever is at hand to create and produce. Our flexibility, adaptability, and creative are the reason many Filipinos thrive in various parts of the world. Filipino are also hardworking and industry. This trait is most noticeable in our willingness to take risk and work in other countries, ability to survive.
All these positive traits mentioned contribute to our ability to survive. The salawikain or proverb na natutulog malungkot kapag maikli ang kumot apply depicts on a survival instinct. We can endure and make do and yet by another and yet by so little while looking forward in our coming better days. This trait is the reason why Filipino continues to carry on even through our harsh economic and social circumstances. Okay. Each one of us as a Filipino, we have also the weaknesses of our lives. So lack of discipline. So Filipino is have the lack of discipline is characterized by our idiomatic expression. Projects start out with full enthusiasm and interest. But no sooner as it started, the enthusiasm and interest just were soon dies down. Another related characteristic is Filipino time. So as you can see, Filipino time is now implemented of each Filipino because our mindset is no other than to have late comers or something like that. So Filipino are known to be always late. We arrive late or we start late. Since global trends strictly follow schedule, these traits and this disregards an importance of time and adversely affecting Filipino productivity. Generally, Filipinos love anything foreign. Foreign elements of adapted and incorporated into our image. And in this process, we are also losing our cultural identity. Likuana noted for that this colonial mentality is connected to our general feelings or inferiority where we thinking foreigners, especially Westerners and superior. So also we have the Kanya-Kanya syndrome. So it's related to the Filipino traits of extreme personalism and extreme family centeredness. Personal in the group interest and supreme, and the drive to fulfill this interest is completely sensitive to the common good. The Kanya-Kanya syndrome has adopted of our sins, community, and cooperation, and we are trampled of one another's right and as a result. The expression crumb mentality where we tend to pull others down to climb up exemplifies the Kanya-Kanya syndrome. Licuanan further observed that the joyful or fun-loving Filipino also has the tendency to superficial and somewhat flightly dismiss that in time of the crisis, either personal or social. There is a general lack of analysis and reflection. Manifestation of this lack of self-analysis and self-reflection is the expression that Filipino are madaling makalimot or have a short memory. This means as a nation we easily forget the mistakes we have made, hence we make the same mistake again. This is one reason traditional politicians or tapos are always re-elected into office. The Filipino characteristic is contradiction. For example, our bayanihan culture coexist comfortability with our kanya-kanya syndrome, meaning our strong points in fact are the length of our weaknesses. Despite these weaknesses, however, there is still much good in Filipino character. What is important if we know are the values and national because these help us grow and develop. We need to understand our character of Filipino because it is a first step toward creating our future we want to individual and as a nation.
Democracy. Democracy is a system of government in which law, policies, leadership, and major undertaking of a state of other polity and directly or indirectly decided by the people a group historically contribute by the only a minority of the population. Democracy is a form of government in which the people have the authority to deliberate and decide legislation or to choose government official to do. That means that our government is elected by citizenship. Here citizens vote for their government official. These officials represent the citizen ideas and concern in government. Voting is the one way to participate in our democracy. Citizens can also contact their official when they want to support or change a law.
Good evening, guys. My name is Nick Joseph Linaban and I am from Group 4. My topic is all about democracy. Democracy is having the freedom to choose and say your opinion. Democracy is a belief that focuses on the people. The more importantly, it focuses in individual. In democracy, we take it to account our own interest or what we want as well as what is best for common good or best for everyone. Democracy is not only a belief but also a great power when it is put in a practice. Democracy gives the people to have a voice. It's important because we all want to be heard, and the responsibility to listen to each other and respect others' opinion. In democracy, you have the freedom to choose. Example of that is in election. We have the freedom to choose who we want to become the president in this country, the vice president, and also we have the freedom to choose who we want to become the mayor of our municipality and the chairman of our barangay. Democracy is a government created by the people and it refers to the majority rule. The basic principles of democracy are political freedom, rule of law, and equality. People elect political leaders who represent them and make political decisions at local, regional, and national levels. So basically, the democracy is freedom. Political people represents the people and hence this system is called representative democracy. Democracy is the common form of government worldwide web. In this form of government, every people has equal rights and freedom to express his views and opinion. Democracy leads to prosperity and development of society. It makes people interested in the country and each democratic people. It promises active participation in government and participation of the ruled. So the main principle in democracy is that power is applied in relation to the human rights, and that's what I think democracy is all about.
Democracy. The Philippines is the first democratic republic in Asia for over 300 years. From 1565 to 1898, Filipinos were governed with Spanish authoritarian colonial rulers. In 1899, under the Malolos Constitution, First Philippine Republic was established and led by Aguinaldo, the first Philippine president in 1935. A constitution framed by all Filipinos, Constitutional Convention was finally ratified by the Filipino electorate. It was authorized by an act of the U.S. Congress approved by the U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The 1935 Constitution described the Philippines as a republican state or representative democracy. Democracy is defined as a system of government in which the citizens exercise power directly or elect representatives from among themselves to the government body, such as a parliament. Democracy is by far the most challenging form of government, both for the politicians and for the people. Example: democracy comes from the Greek language, which means ruled by the people. The individual race, ethnicity, and physical characteristic are not only factors that make the person national identity. Values and traits are also important indicators that set apart one nationality from another. Who is Filipino? Who is Filipino? The Filipino heart, Spanish, mind, American, and soul are controlled by three agrupations. Vatican with respect, faith, and morals. The Conference of Islamic Nations with respect its national integrations or segregations. The United States of America with respect to business, industry, and commerce. We Filipinos have an American mind, pragmatism, and ideas about democracy. Other Filipinos' influence include alienation of the Filipinos from agricultural farming and redirected their minds to the consumerism. For example, planting rice is never fun. Includes as a result, Filipinos' strong identification with the Americans. For them, the greatest nation is America. We Filipinos have a Spanish heart. The Spaniards influenced US by their culture and tradition, arrogance and generosity, emphasis of gentility, status, and appearance, disdain for manual work and values. The Vatican, through the foreign missionaries, stressed the golden values of the Filipinos. That is the G, gratitude, O, obedience, L, loyalty, D, discipline. The values needed by the Filipinos during the colonial times were self-sufficiency, self-determination, justice, and freedom. With the colonizers, dared not to attempt to emphasize to the Filipinos during the approach. Lastly, we Filipinos have root of Malay culture, India, Arab, Thai, Chinese. For example, one of the Chinese trait we also have is the relationship between parents and children, and lateral relatives, perseverance, vanish, etc. Malay has been conditional to expect and accept defeat. Thus, Filipino as a nation has a defeatist attitude. To some of the Filipino, is said to be a going through a values crisis. He is an Asian race in Western context. Until the Filipino rid of their slave mentality and start believing in themselves, they cannot rightfully claim to be free.
Citizenship. This concept of citizenship is reflected in today's most common understanding of citizenship as well, which relates to a legal relationship between the individual and the state. Most people in the world are legal citizens of one or another nation state, and this entitles them to certain privileges or rights. Being a citizen also imposes certain duties in terms of what the states expect from individuals under its jurisdiction. Those citizens fulfill certain obligations to their states, and in return they might expect protections or these vital interests. However, the concept of citizenship has far more layers of meaning than legal citizenship. Nowadays, citizenship is much more than a legal construction and relates, amongst other things, to one's person's sense of belonging. For instance, the sense of belonging to a community which you can shape and influence directly.
Citizenship. Since I live in the Philippines, I'm gonna use this Filipino citizenship. So, what is Filipino citizenship? Filipino citizenship is the natural-born citizens are those who are citizens in the Philippines from birth without having to perform any act to acquire or perfect their Philippine citizenship. Those who elect Philippine citizenship in accordance with acts. Why is citizenship considered as an important aspect under our Constitution? Being a recognized citizens of a country has many legal benefits, which may include, depending on the country, the rights to vote, to hold public office, to social security, to health services, to public education, to permanent residency, to own land, or to engage in employment, among others. What is good citizenship and why is it important? Part of being a good citizen means abiding by the community code and learning how to engage in debate respectfully so we can all be safe and enjoy being together in the community. Having respect means to listen, cooperate, and choose your actions, attitudes, and behaviors appropriately